Good evening. Good evening. May the peace of God be with you. I'm so excited to be with you this evening for our evening Bible study where we are examining this passage of Genesis 37 with the theme power of reinvention. We're looking at this story of Joseph and his brothers and how everybody has been invited by God to reinvent themselves. And just the moment that we think that where we are and why we are and how we are is enough, God offers us, invites us to reinvent ourselves through the power of God. And that comes through various situations, people, through our own ambitions, dreams, and visions. But in Joseph's particular case, I think it's a great case study for us to look at as we examine this concept of reinvention. I hope you all doing well. My prayers is my prayer is that you had a fantastic day. Stay warm, stay cool, whatever your thing is. But thank you for being with us on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you like, follow, and share so you don't miss anything. And word for today is Sunday. We're all virtual. No in-building service will be strictly virtual on Facebook and YouTube. But we will be definitely in person on next Sunday, July 27th for Family and Friends Day, having baptism as well. So make sure you're there if you're able. And for online people, looking forward to connecting with you virtually. Lord, thank you today for your love, for your kindness, for abundance, for your loving embrace, for another day's journey. We don't take it for granted. Speak to us tonight. Minister as only you can. Help us to know that we can always reinvent and go through changes and be better and think bigger and dream again and live again, reach again. That's what you that's what your grace and mercy is for. It gives us another opportunity. So help us to make the most of it and be good stewards of it. Help us work the works while it's day, for night is coming, and we don't know if and when we'll be able to work. We pray in your name, amen. So we'll be looking at uh Genesis 37. But before we get there, I was listening to some great theologians and scholars today, Earth, Wind, and Fire. And one of my favorite songs is All About Love. I don't know if that will reach the top 20 of a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire playlist, song lists, but I love it. I would sing it, but my throat is not right. But it's actually the name of the album from 1977, if my memory serves me correctly. But I just love the lyrics, and I want to pull the one of the underrated monologues or talks that's given in music is this lesson, this experience that Maurice White talks about at the end of the song. Uh, let me see if I can pull it up. We'll play it for you, but they'll definitely sue us. Let me see that. He's yeah, here we go. He says, I want you to stop whatever you're doing. Just stop. There's beauty in the eyes, of which I say is not the fact, because you are only as beautiful as your thoughts. And this may not have nothing to do with Genesis 37. Reinvention, Joseph, Jacob, Reuben, Judah, all the brothers, Rachel, Leah, all of them. But I heard this is one of my favorite songs. I hear it. I've heard it thousands of times. But just today, it really hit me. You are only as beautiful as your thoughts. As a person thinks in their heart, so they are. Tradition we see out of the Bible. So you are only as beautiful as your thoughts. That means if you don't think you're beautiful, if you don't think you have beautiful potential, you don't think your situation can be beautiful again, there's your answer. You're only as beautiful as your thoughts. He says, for instance, we study all kind of science, astrology, mysticism, religion, and so forth. And like coming from here, place all these things help because you're inside of your inner self. Have mercy. Now there's the outer self. You got to deal with the one that likes to go to parties, the one that likes to dress up, be cool. Here I'm trying to tell you, if there ain't no beauty, you gotta make some beauty. That's not getting y'all like it's getting me. He said, well, there ain't no beauty. You gotta make some beauty. And that is now that really connects to the thematic thrust tonight of reinvention. You gotta make some beauty even when there is no beauty. You have to make joy when there seems to be no joy. You have to feel it. He says he deals with the inner so we can deal with the outer. So two things to grab from this little diatribe I gave about all about love from Earth, Wind, and Fire is simply you have to make some beauty where there ain't no beauty. And you and I, we're only as beautiful as we allow our thoughts to be, as we can imagine, as we can visualize, as we can envision. So that's that. Genesis 37. We read the first half the last 2 weeks, last week and the weeks preceding last week, about Joseph's story about being the favorite one with the Technicolor coat, as the place says. And he's about 17 years older. He's the youngest right now of all of his children. He's his father's favorite because he bore him at an older age. And I would argue he's his father's favorite because out of all the women he has 4 women. He has Rachel and Leah, sisters, and he has 2 of their maidservants that he's had children with. So he has 4 women. Well, Rachel is his first love, who he worked and told for, and got tricked into working an extra 7 years for Laban, but she could not produce kids. And when she finally could have a child, it was Joseph. So he loves him, and he's not ashamed to let the other boys know. And he has a daughter named Dinah, how much he loves Joseph more than them. As you would imagine, that would cause tension, especially when Joseph being a snitch and telling his father all the things that his brothers are not doing. He didn't play that smoothly enough. You always want to win the favor of your older siblings, older family members. Because when pops ain't around, they're gonna let you have it. So they come up with their envy and jealousy. I blame Jacob because he comes from favoritism. His mother favored him, Rebecca favored him, and Isaac favored his brother Esau. And it's caused dissension and division. And he had beef with his brother who tried to kill him years ago. They would ultimately reconcile, but he allows the same systematic reality of favoritism and not having egalitarianism in the family. And you can't treat everybody the same because everybody needs different things at different times. But everyone should get love and respect and be honored. And he didn't make 12 coats for all of his brothers, all of his sons. He only made one for Joseph. And this causes complexity when you have a blended family. When you're trying to blend anything, we're trying to blend with people, when you're trying to make a home, make a community, and that's favoritism. Destruction is always a result. And let's look at Genesis 27. We'll pick it up at verse 12. We'll be looking at the New Revised Standard Version this morning. And for the Monday crew who meets at the church, I owe you a few more questions now that we're in the backstage of Genesis 37. Okay. Now his brothers, Genesis 37:12. Went to pasture their flocks near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, Are you not, are not your brothers pasturing the flock of Shechem? Come, I will send you to them. He answered, Here am I. So he said to them, Go now and see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring back word to me. Notice he's sending him to check up on his older brothers. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and Jacob places Joseph in such a difficult place of already being the favorite. Like it's not that, how you can, oh, he's mama's favorite. That could be a rumor around the family, but this is a fact. Joseph is the favorite. He came to Shechem and found a man wandering in the fields and asked him, Who are you seeking? He said, I'm seeking my brothers. He said to them, Please tell me where they are pasturing the flock. The man said, They've gone away. I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. Here it goes. They saw him from a distance, and before he came near to them, they conspired to kill him. Before he came near, when they saw him from a distance, they plotted to kill him. He's not only the favorite, but he's a dreamer. He had dreams and symbolisms that he would be elevated, and his brothers and his sisters and even his parents would bow down to him. So they remember the treatment that he got from his father, and they remembered the dreams he had. And now they want to end that dream. And the intensity of their anger and their frustration has leveled up to such a level that they are willing to plot and murder their own little brother. Joseph's not perfect, but he doesn't deserve what they're plotting. And it lets us know, it should be a warning to us when we allow those negative emotions to fester, to grow, to multiply. Jealousy, I believe, I may be mixing it up. The Buddha said that jealousy is swallowing a fire that you hope burns someone else. And they've been swallowing this fire, and now it's a forlorn blaze. And they want to kill their brother. They don't just want to ignore him. They could ignore him. They could, just treat him a different way, give him the cold shoulder. No, but it's going on so long. And he's 17, so he's probably been the favorite and been the outward favorite for all this long. And they've allowed uh, this to really terrorize them. Listen what they say. They don't even treat him or think of him in terms of brotherhood anymore. Verse 19, they said to one another, Here comes the dreamer. Come now, let us kill him, throw him in one of the pits, and we shall say that a wild animal has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. My God. And I'm trying to make a little metaphorical theological leap here. From this story, this narrative we're reading, to how we live in our everyday lives. There's some people who can't wait to throw a dreamer in a pit because they don't believe in anything. They don't have a dream. They don't have a vision. So if you have one, you're a threat. And they may not throw you in a pit physically, but they want to make it hard for you. They if you think outside of the box and you don't think like everybody else thinks. I just saw this video on a social media. A guy has a goat running around a fire, a herd of goats, and he keeps circling the goats, keeps circling the fire. And He has the goats running, and he steps away, and the goats keep running in a circle around the fire. They're not running around the fire for any particular reason. They're just running because they see somebody else do it, and and they have what is called the herd mentality because someone else is doing it. I'm going to do it too. And maybe they're doing it for safety, for familiarity, but that's exactly what happens to us when we see people who wanna who dare to be different, who want to dream, who have that kind of Joseph confidence. We say, no, 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 we don't do that. We have herd mentality. And his dream is in conflict with our comfort and safety that we have as we keep circling the wagons. So Joseph presents a different reality and a different uh, paradigm than what they're used to. All they do is 10 flies, go home, 10 flies, go home. Joseph has the sensitivity and awareness to believe, yo, I can do something big. Anytime you try to envision yourself being big around small minded people, they'll try to throw you in some kind of pit and they want to see what happens to your dream then. Anybody can dream outside, but does your dream still have power when you're in a pit, when you're attacked, when it's 11 to 1, when they plot against you? Can your dream survive that? That's what they're saying. What's going to happen to his dream in the pit? What's going to happen to his dream now? The oldest of the crew is Reuben. In verse 21, Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands. They already got him, saying, let's not take his life. Reuben said to him, shed no blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but lay no hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand and restore him to his father. Smooth plan. Reuben said, let's not do no harm. Let's put him here. But he already knows if he can rescue Reuben, he'll be in the good graces of his father. See, notice goes back to Jacob. This 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 gaining favor, this gaining approval from Jacob is becoming a detrimental reality for each of these brothers. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornamented robe, the technicolor robe that he wore, and they took him, threw him in the pit. The pit was empty and there was no water in it. Notice they treat him like a straight up enemy, not like a little brother they're supposed to take care of, look out for, the little brother they lived in the same house with. No, they throw him in a pit, no water, no regard. Then listen to this. They sat down to eat. Looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites. Ishmaelites who many believe that our Arabic brothers and sisters descend from Abraham's other family. We always hear about the Isaac, who was the Jewish and Christians descendants of Abraham, but he also was a father to the Ishmaelite nations. And notice, and that's their folks too. Complicated relationships here. That's why reinvention is so needed because each of us finds ourselves in complicated families, complicated relationships, and we need God's grace because each of us are trying to figure some stuff out. Come, let us sell, sell him to the Israelites, not lay a hand on him, for he is our brother, he is our own flesh. And the brothers agreed. When some Midianite traders passed by, they drew Joseph up, lifted him out of the pit, and sold him to the Israelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they took Joseph to Egypt. They sold their brother. You'll never be able to reinvent yourself when we allow entitlement, anger, resentment to fester. And that's less easier said than done because when you are not treated on the same level as the Josephs of the world, that thing builds. And it's a word for me because it's difficult for me to let things go. And I can imagine having those thoughts of, yeah, good for him. That's what he gets. But nobody sees Joseph as a child, this little baby bro. They don't kill him, but they sell him. There's something about that selling part may be worse than the potential for the murder that they were plotting. They sell him to a distant land. They sell their own brother to a distant land. And you won't believe sometimes the people that are closest to you, they'll sell you out. And if we're not careful, we'll sell folks who are closest to us. When Reuben returned to the pit, remember he's the oldest, he's not there. He wanted to be the hero who's going to take him back home. When he saw that Joseph was not in the pit, he tore his clothes. When they tear their clothes, that's symbolic of grief and grieving and mourning. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and where can I turn?" Then they took Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, dipped the robe in blood. They had the ornamented robe, took to their father, and they said, "This we have found. See now whether it is your son's robe or not. Your son." Notice he's your son, not my brother. A wild animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces. And Jacob tore his garments, put sackcloth on his loins, and mourned his son for many days. All his sons and all his daughters sought to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, "No, I shall go down to Sheol to my son mourning." Thus his father bewailed him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. He didn't just get sold to Egypt, he went right to the top of the food chain, right to the palace, to Potiphar's official. He went right into uh, the federal government of Egypt. He went right into the known power of the world. And sometimes it's hard to see that we got to go through a pit sometimes to get where we need to be. And sometimes that pit is the pit of betrayal, the pit of pain, of difficulty, of loss, of sickness. And I don't believe I never tried to support that idea that God is the cause of these things. You know, God had to give me this. That's just not how I see it. But when these things happen to us, we can all see how God uses us, and in these moments to see God better and see ourselves better. God doesn't need to cause my leg to break for me to appreciate the walking. No, 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 that's not. But 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 in all things, Augustine says we see God in all things. Um, Even this betrayal. And those of us who know the story know how it winds up. But Joseph is in 37. He's not in Genesis 50. Can we see God? Can we see the possibility of reinvention in 37 in our lives when we're not in 50? Oh, we get to 50. Oh, I see it now. I can see clearly now. Hindsight is 2020, but it takes a hard, long road to get there. So in this power reinvention, I want us to really be monitoring the emotions that we need to work on, the emotional intelligence we need, how we need to let things go, you know, The brothers to teaching me, though, you gotta let things go. When you get back and get revenge, let that thing grow and fester. It would destroy everybody. There's lessons of Jacob of not affirming everyone as great. One of my favorite songs. It's like our family song. We ain't singing in a while. We have to do it. There's the recently deceased Sylvester Stewart, aka Sly Stone, one of my favorites. Everybody is a star. Everybody's a star. And his boy George Clinton in Flashlight captured it and said, "Everybody has a little light under the sun. Everybody has something to offer." I may be a Reuben or a Judah. I may not have the kind of dreams that Joseph had, but I still matter. I may not be the star of the story, but I matter to God. And I want to make sure that I'm just not so attracted. Oh, look at the Josephs of the world with the gifts and the outward stuff and all that. No, no. Reuben matters and Judah matters, and when they don't believe they matter, who knows what can happen? So let's reinvent ourselves by God's Spirit and God's love, and knowing when we're in a pit, financial pit, a family pit of pain and destruction, of confusion, whatever the pit may be, it's not our final destination. That God can still use the pits in life to get us to where we need to be. Uh, Being a sports editor and developing all this content BT, I've been watching way more sports than I've watched in years, not just as a fan, but as a person who's in that world. And been watching a lot of uh, motor racing. So now I'm learning the difference between the X Series, F1, and NASCAR, and all that kind of stuff. With each of those tracks, they have a pit stop, and the pit stop is designed for the drivers to stop and get their cars back to optimal levels. Tires worn down, stuff blown out. Need new this, new that. You got to go to the pit stop. And each of us, like Joseph, on this race before we can get to the home finish line, got to go to the pit stop to get recalibrated, remixed, to get reinvented again. And when you and I find ourselves in a pit, let's use the pit as a learning lesson, use the pit as a launching pad for something bigger, for something greater. And that's the power of reinvention. God bless you tonight.